you were suspended for. Do you regret that?
I'm in a quandary at how to answer that because people are waiting for me to say something. I said what I had to say. They suspended me. I respected what they said. I respected everybody's opinion.
The stage was set for another typical episode of The View. Whoopi Goldberg, the undisputed queen of the panel, sat in her throne, radiating confidence as normal. The show had been running smoothly for years, with Whoopi at the helm dominating the conversation, shutting down anyone who dared to oppose her, and creating a predictable rhythm of smug laughter and condescending eye rolls. But on this particular day, something was about to shake up the status quo. Enter Caroline Leavitt, a fresh face, young, determined, and fearless. What seemed like just another guest appearance quickly turned into a moment of reckoning. Caroline wasn't about to be intimidated by Whoopi's usual smirk and snark. In fact, she wasn't backing down at all. It was clear from the moment she stepped onto that stage that this wouldn't be business as usual. But what happened next? It gets worse. Caroline Leavitt's entrance was a game changer. Whoopi and the other panelists were so caught up in their comfortable, predictable routine that they didn't see it coming. They had their roles, their scripted perspectives, and the usual rhythm that kept the show flowing. But the moment Caroline took her seat, something shifted in the air. She wasn't intimidated by Whoopi's commanding presence or the smirk of superiority. Caroline had a mission. She was there to make her voice heard, and she wasn't backing down. Little did Whoopi know this wasn't going to be a typical appearance. Caroline had a surprise waiting for everyone. What happened after this shocked everyone. Whoopi, as always, sat high and mighty, certain she could shut Caroline down with her signature "I'm always right" attitude. Then came the bombshell moment. Whoopi, thinking she could deliver the ultimate mic drop, declared, "Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job." A pause. The room went dead silent. The audience, who was accustomed to Whoopi's domineering presence, sensed something shift. Even Joy Behar, Whoopi's usual ally, looked uneasy. It was one of those rare moments where Whoopi's confidence faltered, but the real drama was about to unfold. Caroline, with her trademark poise, didn't flinch. No quick rebuttal, no angry retort. Instead, she did something unexpected. She smiled. A slow, knowing smile that said it all. "You just messed up. It gets crazier from here." Whoopi, confident as ever, thought she could shut Caroline down with her usual brand of dismissive arrogance. When she dropped her infamous line, "Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job," it was like a gut punch. The room immediately fell into a heavy silence. You could almost feel the air thicken as Caroline didn't flinch, didn't stutter, but met Whoopi's words with a calm that was almost unnerving. It was clear Caroline wasn't going to crumble under pressure. Whoopi had expected a defensive reaction, but instead, Caroline just smiled, and in that moment, the power dynamic had already begun to shift. But this isn't even half of it. For the first time in years, Whoopi was on the back foot. Caroline didn't get defensive. She didn't fall into the trap of emotional arguments or weak rebuttals. No, she went straight for the jugular with cold, hard facts. She brought out government spending reports, economic data, and statistics that couldn't be refuted. Whoopi's smug attitude evaporated as Caroline methodically dismantled the very arguments Whoopi had tried to build her career on. She didn't just disagree, she tore down the narrative with surgical precision. Caroline exposed how taxpayer money was being funneled into woke agendas, highlighting absurdities like Sesame Street pushing political activism. The more Caroline spoke, the more Whoopi's confidence cracked. The audience could feel it. Whoopi wasn't the authority anymore. But here's the kicker. Caroline didn't stop there. Caroline didn't hesitate. She wasn't going to let Whoopi's jab go unanswered. Instead of fighting fire with fire, she brought out the ultimate weapon: facts, economic data, government spending reports, and cold, hard statistics that couldn't be disputed. Whoopi, once confident in her position, was now caught off guard. Caroline wasn't attacking with emotion. She was using logic and reason to systematically tear apart Whoopi's narrative. Each point Caroline made was a blow to Whoopi's carefully constructed arguments, and it was evident Whoopi had no counter. The smugness, the arrogance, the usual condescending tone, all of it was gone. But listen to this. Caroline was just getting started. The unthinkable was happening. Whoopi Goldberg, who had spent decades bulldozing over guests, was suddenly left scrambling for words. She tried to recover. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She snapped it shut, her thoughts scattered. For once, she couldn't regain control of the conversation. Caroline kept her composure, her facts sharp and unyielding. The power dynamic had shifted completely. The room was thick with tension. The audience, usually quick to applaud Whoopi's every word, sat frozen frozen in awkward silence. Even Joy Behar, Whoopi's most loyal ally, was silent, her eyes glued to the table in an attempt to escape the chaos unfolding in front of them. The entire panel was witnessing a train wreck, and there was no stopping it. This is just the beginning, and it's about to get intense. Whoopi was scrambling now, her usual confidence evaporating in real time. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She tried again, but still nothing. Her mind raced as Caroline's precise arguments continued to dismantle everything she had tried to uphold. For the first time in a long while, Whoopi wasn't in control, and it was painfully obvious. The room that was once filled with Whoopi's commanding presence now seemed to hold its breath. Even Joy Behar, usually quick with a retort, was uncharacteristically quiet. The tension was thick, and Whoopi's power had slipped right through her fingers. And it only gets worse from here. Caroline had already cornered Whoopi, but she wasn't finished. She went deeper into the issue, connecting wokeness with the broader cultural movements sweeping across America. She called out the hypocrisies of the woke agenda, the divisive tactics used to silence anyone who dared challenge the mainstream narrative. Whoopi, who had been so quick to attack others for years, was now the one being called out. The audience was witnessing a turning point, and Caroline wasn't letting up. She didn't give Whoopi a chance to recover. She just kept pressing on, exposing one uncomfortable truth after another. But listen to this. Whoopi wasn't prepared for what came next. Caroline wasn't just fighting back, she was relentlessly exposing the flaws in the entire system. She linked wokeness to cultural shifts, pointing out how it wasn't just a social movement, it had morphed into a political weapon used to silence, shame, and control. As Caroline spoke, it became clear she wasn't just confronting Whoopi, she was taking down the entire narrative that had dominated The View for years. Whoopi, once so quick to shut down opposing views, now sat defenseless. Caroline's words were sharp, her delivery calm, but every point she made felt like another jab at Whoopi's credibility. But hold on, this isn't the end yet. Whoopi, now visibly rattled, tried to regain control, but it was too late. Her usual arrogance was nowhere to be found. The usual snarky comebacks, the sharp retorts, none of it was working. Caroline had flipped the script completely, and Whoopi's confident, controlling demeanor was shattered. In its place was a desperate struggle to reclaim some semblance of authority, but it was futile. The room was silent, the tension palpable. For the first time in years, the audience saw Whoopi not as the powerful host, but as a cornered figure scrambling for words. The moment was electric, and Caroline's calm composure only made Whoopi's discomfort more apparent. But it doesn't stop there. It only gets more uncomfortable for Whoopi. Whoopi's usual commanding presence had completely evaporated. She was on the defensive now, struggling to regain control of the conversation. Her mouth opened, then snapped shut like she was trying to find something, anything, to salvage her position. The silence in the room was deafening. Even the audience, who had once hung on every word Whoopi said, was now visibly uncomfortable. Caroline, calm and collected, wasn't giving her an inch. She had already established her dominance in the conversation, and Whoopi's feeble attempts to counter only highlighted how far out of her depth she truly was. But trust me, it gets worse for Whoopi from here. The internet went wild. Memes, reaction videos, and commentary flooded social media. Whoopi, once an untouchable figure, was now a punchline. But this was more than just a viral moment. Whoopi had opened herself up to criticism, and the internet didn't hold back. Caroline had done what so many had failed to do. She'd taken down Whoopi in front of millions, and the consequences didn't stop with memes. This was bigger, much bigger. But here's the real kicker. This wasn't Whoopi's first public debacle. The fallout from that unforgettable moment was swift and brutal. Social media exploded with memes, reaction videos, and commentary, all focused on Whoopi's humiliation. The internet didn't hold back, and the video of Caroline's takedown quickly went viral. What was supposed to be just another day on The View turned into a public relations disaster. But this wasn't just an embarrassing moment, it was a turning point. Caroline had shown millions that Whoopi, once untouchable, was now vulnerable. The internet reveled in the chaos, and Whoopi's reputation began to crack. She was no longer seen as the queen of The View, but the consequences were just beginning to unfold. Whoopi Goldberg's career had always been marred by controversies, but this moment marked a turning point. From her tone-deaf Holocaust comments to bizarre defenses of questionable figures, Whoopi's unchecked behavior had come back to haunt her. And now, the consequences were real. Legal battles began to mount, defamation lawsuits from celebrities like Carrie Underwood, Elon Musk, and others piled up, and ABC was caught in the crossfire. Advertisers began pulling out, and the show's ratings plummeted. The View's carefully cultivated image was crumbling, and the one person responsible for it all, Whoopi Whoopi herself. With her reputation in tatters and the network scrambling for damage control, it was clear. Her reign was over. But wait, it gets worse for Whoopi, and it could be the end of The View as we know it. The truth was, Whoopi had been skating on thin ice for years. Her past was littered with controversies, from insensitive comments about the Holocaust to her bizarre defenses of problematic figures. But this time, the fallout wasn't just a few angry tweets. Defamation lawsuits piled up, starting with Carrie Underwood and then Elon Musk. ABC was in full crisis mode, trying to deal with the mess Whoopi had created. Advertisers pulled out, ratings tanked, and The View was dragged into a legal battle that was draining the network's resources. Whoopi's reckless commentary had finally caught up with her, and the damage was irreversible. This could be the beginning of the end for The View. Thank you for watching this video. Hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this.